What's up YouTube, it's Wertiger here, and I'm going to deck profile the Scharhrot Darkness deck, and guess I'll just jump into it. So we're playing the starter because we like to get cards to our hand on our first stride, because like if you just throw down cards for your early game soul, you either intercept or you just show a bunch of soul on your stride so you can get more soul to get more of your effects. So I feel like it's pretty solid. You can also run some of the other starters, but it's up to personal preference, so going with that. And then trigger lineup, the 4 heals. We're playing currently 3 Amon and 1 of the Vincents. I'm like kind of playing around the ratio here. I mean, you can run 4 of the Amon heal, but Vincent does have its nice use, because if you G-guard with it in the Vincent, you can get your heal trigger to your soul, so when you Bledermouse it goes back to your deck, whereas these, once they hit the drop zone, they're there forever, since we can't send them back since we're not Blade Wings. So that's why, like, you don't always need the counter charging or the soul charge, but that's an option. And this, of course, with the Vincent plays, so you can Bledermouse it back. I might go 2/2 because the heal, the Amon heal, just says bind a heal trigger, so you can also bind your Vincents if you so desire. Moving on to the crits. We're playing 6 crit, 4 of the Amons, and 2 of the Nightmare Lands. Nightmare Land, of course, because it can get us Darkness, and this is of course good because +5 early game when you're on your grade 3, or of course when you're striding you can shove it to your soul and get part of your Vanguard. And then basically mandatory, we're playing the 4 monochrome cats because we like soul charge, counter charge for basically free if you're at 10 or more soul, or if not, if you can just use it to counter charge and soul charge without with a minus, of course, but if you are at 10 or more it's neutral. And then we're playing 2 of the new stands. This is because, since we're playing 6 stands, because we like to stand our rear guards in this deck, this one can basically Psychic Bird when you're at grade 4, and you can give unit power. It's nice utility. Moving on to grade 1s, we're playing 4 of the Darkness PG, the new one. You can also play the Balloon PG, which is also good, but in most matchups other than dust matchups, I do like this PG because I always am worried about damaging or soul charging all of my PGs, so I like to have ways to get them back, and this allows you to get them back. And plus, of course, you can grab it off of your on stride with the new Scharhrot with the Daybreak, add it to your hand, and then if you have one in soul and you PG'd with it, then you can grab the one out of your soul, which is really cool, or drop zone, either or. It's pretty nice utility there. And then I'm playing 3 Succubus Stride Fodders because we want to be able to ride the correct Scharhrot most of the time, since Daybreak is the better Vanguard. And then for the pseudo Stride Fodders, the 4 Wertiger Jaegers, because he's like really good because you can plus, since as long as he goes to soul through card effect or cost, then you can counterblast 1 draw card. So if you throw him on the board early game and you use your starter skill, you can counterblast 1 draw card right there, so you don't even minus, you just net neutral. And then you can also use Daybreak if you want, his on stride. If you grab a Darkness card and you just shove a Wertiger in there, you can counterblast draw a card. And of course you can use his other skill to counterblast soul charge 1 and add it back to your hand if you discard a card. So lots of utility, really good card, and it's a Darkness card, of course, so you can shove it to soul with your grade 2s. And then we're rounding it off with 2 of the new Wertigers. The one that's Darkness gets plus 1000 for every card in your soul. It's not GB locked, so you could actually use it if they are playing the grade 2 game against you. You can just have a really fat booster and or attacker if you feel brave enough to put in the front row, because we run stands, so it's not like a terrible idea there. And plus, if you soul charge them, you can just grab them off of your Daybreak, which is kind of nice. You can kind of toolbox with your soul now. And that's why they're there for late game pushes as well. Moving on to grade 2s, playing 4 of the new Succubus of Jealousy, because she can soul charge you 2 cards early game as long as it's a grade 1 or higher darkness card, and she's an 11k swing at GB1 darkness, so pretty solid card, really good 4 of. I think it's probably one of the better grade 2s as far as versatility goes right now. And then I'm playing 3 of the Covetous Succubus because she's good mid to late game depending on your cards in soul, because you get the most value at 10 or more soul, but then sometimes maybe you don't want that extra card to your hand, so you just want the counter charge soul charge, but you could use that earlier as well. But it is GB locked, which is the bigger problem, so you do have to wait before you call them, so they're kind of dead otherwise early game, which is why I only play 3. I don't play 4 like some other builds I've seen. And then I play 3 Demented Executioners. This is because he's also early game. You can check 7 add a darkness card to your soul, and he also combos with Gastille because of his act to give him the plus 5k if you counterblast and you have the right conditions. It's pretty neat. That's kind of his uses. I definitely like the new Succubus over him because it's a 2 soul charge on her versus the 1 here, for the on placement. And then rounding it off, we're running 3 of the Baleful Repressors. This is a really nice guard manipulate, and I hope I'm not missing the mats because I forgot to put them in the center here. But Darkness GB2 gets plus 10k and becomes a Silent Tom. So if you copy that off on your Gastille, then you are basically already at 21k with Silent Tom effect. Really strong, especially with stand triggers. And you can just slap them down anyway and have Toms on your rear guard that swing for 19. Moving on to grade 3s, we have 4 Daybreaks because he is the best ride. Really good on stride because you soul charge 2 and you can add a card from with darkness from soul to hand, and you can also optionally soul charge 1 from your hand or place 1 from hand to soul. So you can, like I said, trigger your Wertigers and stuff. So you can set up and you don't lose a number of cards in soul. And then we're playing 2 of the Sin Scharhrots. This is because he has that guard manipulate effect on rear guard as well, so it's a nice option to have, of course, more ways to make your opponent not be able to guard you. And he's not a terrible ride, so it's pretty solid because you'd rather not be riding the Gastille. I play 1. I'm tempted to play 2, but I just really don't want to ride this card. If it lives, you can get it back to your hand at the start of the next turn, and so with him, like I said, you copy the Baleful and the Demented to get the on-call, the check 7, plus the counterblast plus 5, plus the 10k in guard manipulate, so he can potentially just be swinging 26 with guard manipulate by himself, and if it stands, then you have to deal with it multiple times, especially like on a Blittermouse turn when you have 4 checks, or even on Balam, because you get the double value out of the guard manipulate plus a big number, which really hurts players. Moving on to the G zone, I totally forgot to grab a Seabreeze out of one of my other decks, so this is my Seabreeze proxy because I don't want to go look for it right now. Sorry for not preparing. G zone, we're playing 1 Vincent, that's why there's only 1 G guard, or of the Vincent grade 0s. If I was playing 2, I would definitely bump up the amount of Vincents for sure, because it's really good to have the soul go, or the heal go to soul. And then we're playing this G guard because it's the answer to decks that have weenie rushes, like the 11Ks and stuff, because you give your Vanguard plus 5k as well as giving the 5k shield on guard. So it's a pretty good value there. It's like you got a damage trigger for that turn without having to get a damage trigger. And then we're playing 2 of the new rare G guards from the set 14. since she can shove cards from your field to the soul, or well, a card from field to soul to gain the ability to draw a card. But she's also 10k shield if you have 10 or more soul. I believe it was 10. Sorry if I was wrong on the number, but yeah, it's a really good card, and plus you can trigger your Wertigers like that if you want to, or you could, you know, use that with your Daybreak with his end of turn skill. But yeah, pretty cool plays, and it's a really solid G-Guard. And then we're playing one of the older Fighters Collection heals, because soul charging 2 for 5k shield's not bad, especially if you're like struggling not seeing your soul charge cards, or you know, you just draw into triggers and you're just having a bad time. It helps you get your soul count up, and it's just a 20k shield, so can't go too wrong there. Then moving on to actual strides, we're going one of the rare strides from set, I forgot the number, I think it was 12, or whenever the last time DI got support. He's like okay. I feel like I only use him when things are going wrong, because Balam is usually my go-to first stride, since with the way this deck plays, you don't stride past 3 strides in a game usually, because you're either going to deck out or your opponent's dead. So that's why it's just there. It's a nice filler. Then we're playing 4 Balams because he is really, really good. Getting quad drive, killing a rear guard, and stealing its power is really solid. And then of course a GB3, you have guard manipulate on your turns, so Balam is just really strong, and a 4 of N+. If you don't know, for his soul charge skill, you do it in increments of 2 for every face up, so you can choose 0, you can go 2, you can go 4, you can go 6, depending on the amount of cards you have face up, so you don't have to soul charge like everything. And you can stop if you hit a certain point, like if you think there's not a lot of triggers left in your deck and you want to save that, or if you just soul charged all your triggers, you know. Either way, you can just choose. Then 2 Blittermouse. Blittermouse, so he's of course there for when you go through almost your entire deck and you just send back all of your great zeros. Really good push turns like that. If you turbo through your deck and you second or third stride him, you should almost be guaranteed to have a deck full of triggers, minus maybe your starter. Because if you do it correctly, you can usually get your deck to 1 card, and then you can have, like I said, your deck full of triggers minus your starter. And we're playing 2 Gilderay instead of the 4 Blittermouse. It's an option, because we're only playing 6 crits. You don't want to try to rely on hitting that crit if like you see the opportunity where you know they don't have G-Guards and they just happen to like check all their PGs or something, and they're at like maybe 3 damage, or even of course 4 for the lethal. And then you can just stride into him, get your 36k swing with guard manipulate and a crit. And if you have the Wertiger booster, then of course you'll probably be swinging for like at least a 48 or so, because you have to have like a minimum 15 soul. So that's like a 22 plus 36, you know. Really, really strong play there. And then we're playing the 1 Dust. Dust, it's good. It's very situational though. I feel like it's best used when they're at 4. But you can try to push for lethal, because of like, if you have the Gastiles or the other guard manipulators plus Wertigers, then your push gets really strong because it's very difficult for them to guard. So, and then of course you have stands to punish, since you're playing 6 stands, and monochromes go back to deck unless you end up soul charging all of them. You do have ways to apply even more pressure and get a lot of value out of it, and it's a pretty solid card overall. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns about the deck, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys later.